I think in two places. I just recently realized I think in two places. I think with my brain when I'm making business type decisions. And then I also think with my heart. Okay. Boy Scout leader, Santa Claus at my church. I think with my heart. A quick little story for you. This is just to make it little lighter for you. I was at a conference and I had a software question. And trying to get a software question from a software developer is next to impossible. They just walk away from you. They don't even say excuse me. They just leave you. They're so busy and everyone's asking them. I went to and I couldn't get anybody to talk to me. Then I saw three Punjabi fellas sitting down with the turbans, the Indian guys with turbans. In my city, Brampton, we've got a really strong Punjabi population here. So I'm a polyculturalist, again, with my heart. And I'm learning to speak Punjabi. And it's really fun being a white guy freaking the brown skins out when I speak to them with very little accent. So
But
I saw these three guys, obviously software guys, and I said, "Do you speak Punjabi, Bolda?" Which is, "Do you speak Punjabi?" They all looked at me, and so I sat down. I talked to them a little bit in Punjabi just to let them know that I can speak their language, and you
I
can see
love it.
them floating. Then I said, "You guys software people?" Well, obviously they are. Oh yeah, we are, and they didn't walk away from me. So I then
Well, they just felt your deep respect for their culture and for them as individuals.
I can greet
Yeah.
people in 34 different languages.
You're kidding. So how have you learned all these languages over the
One
years?
word a week. For 60 years, I've been trying to learn one new word a week in a different language.
I love it. There was a
So
guy in the Boston area that used to teach a course that went with 16 languages at a time. And he started right like that with the idea that you should be able to speak languages across the world wherever you go, beyond please and thank you. And I thought it was a great idea, but he did say you have to practice or you lose it. So
yes.
it's good that you're getting out there and practicing it.
So what I did is I spoke to these guys and I said, "Let me ask you a question." Okay, I'm looking for business and heart together. And my prime objective in my discovery is not personal wealth. My prime objective is to be able, personal wealth will be a consequence of my activity. My actual prime objective is to help other people within the ideation stage. In order to accomplish that, I need to be profitable. So there is my business side, be
Sure.
profitable, heart, helping others. The
Right.
two work well together. Because when I spoke to those three guys, I said, "Let's say you're working for me. And would you be willing to work for 1 hour a week for free for somebody else, as long as I paid you for that hour?" They all looked at me. "Well, yeah." And their bodies stood up. They were interested. You can see the body language.
Yeah.
I said, "Well, let's say Wednesday between 4 and 5 o'clock, you stop your programming and you use your skills to help other people. You can use corporate resources, but just reasonably." And they all went, "Yes, yes." One of them offered me his CV and he sent it to me. As I'm walking around the trade show, another fellow tapped me on the shoulder and said, "I spoke to Prabmeet. He said you're looking for software people. Can I send you my resume?"
Don't you
I
love
got
it?
3 resumes. So I'm looking to be able to use my heart to benefit
Mhm.
other people, which will also benefit my mind as a business decision. So
Yeah.
the two work well together as one singing in a choir.
I think that's beautiful. And I look at the landscape in business today, and people are so hungry to be part of something that has meaning beyond just the nuts and bolts of it or sitting at the computer all day. They're hungry to be part of something, and you cannot look across the world without seeing clearly the need is high. And somebody with that kind of uh, commitment is really attractive. I think it's really attractive to social philanthropy in corporations.
Yep.
They use it as, actually, you've just demonstrated, a way of attracting high quality people who want to be part of something that's bigger. So I
Hard,
congratulate you on
but
that
it's good
idea.
for mine.
Yeah,
Now, let
that's
me run a
excellent.
couple quick things on your last communication with me on
Yep,
LinkedIn. I just think we need to set some ground rules so you'll understand.
yeah, that's good.
Um, my background is 30 years in electronic component technical sales. I moved from inside sales to outside sales to sales manager to North American sales manager, project manager, and eventually general manager of the company. I, in my project management years, I supplied technical support and electronic components to 3 satellite projects. I took technologies in which when I retired, I took technologies from 2 of those satellite projects that I was meditating. And when I brought them both together, it led me to the discovery of a new class of computer components,
Wow.
such that, and that's my specialty is electronic components, or hardware, such that when a digital file is presented to the input, I extract just the data. In the final stage, the digital portion, which might contain a malware, is not processed, but I'm able to extract just the data
That's amazing.
in a new format. I
Mhm.
then transport that data to an isolated section of the computer and insert it into a new digital file of the same kind that's over here. So now I've got 2 types of files exactly the same, except this one, I don't know if it's malware infected. This one is for sure data only.
Wow.
This new process is what has enabled a redesign of how the computer circuitry processes malware infected files safely.
So let me understand this. Could this go into like an existing computer hardware maker, or would they have to create a whole new computer to incorporate this new technology?
That comes to where I'm coming from. I will answer that in a minute. You will understand why.
Okay.
Quick story for you is people don't understand extraction of data only.
Yeah. Right.
So let's say your data, I'm data, you got long hair, I got short hair, you're a woman, I'm a man. Those are our data attributes. We want to go on a trip to a hospital, another computer. So we jump in a car, a computer file, and we travel along the road, the internet, and we need more gas. So we stop at a gas station and we fill up our gas for data. And unbeknownst to us, at the gas station, a trapdoor underneath the car, and a guy sticks a bomb to the bottom of our gas tank, closes the trapdoor and disappears. And we travel along the road, the internet, with a malware or bomb attached to the car. When we get to the parking lot, normally what we do, or the input of the other computer, we open the door, open the file, bomb explodes. Malware does its thing, spreads all over the place. What I do in my computer is when we arrive and go into the parking lot, before we've opened the door, the computer sees, hey, it's that model of car, and plunks another exact copy of the car beside it, a new file. Rips open the top of the car, a new way to enter the file. Extracts a crane, extracts you and me, the data and data attributes, out and sticks it in to the new car. And the new car, new file, safely drives in to the hospital.
I'm so glad you added that. That is a
It is a significant discovery. I've actually been able to prove it in my lab by transferring that file from one computer into a separate computer about 6 inches away from it. So I've actually been able to do
amazing.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've proven the enabling technology. Being excited with that, I had the domain name Roati.com for many years. And Roati is an acronym for Ralph's onto another technology innovation. I got it 30 years ago when I was solving problems for the guys at the office, and they started calling me Mr. Roati as a joke. Well, Rob's on to another technology innovation. Watch out.
Love that. Yeah, what a great way to be known.
So I purchased the domain name Roati.com, and I used it for personal usage for many years. When I made this discovery a few years ago, I federally incorporated Canada Roati Technologies Inc. because I had domain name.
Right. Right.
So that's where it's coming from. I was at the early stages, and this is just before COVID. I was at a board of trade meeting, which was sponsored by Wealth Management Group of a major Canadian bank. I went around to all these bank managers looking for a way to, I didn't know how to pre-sell and deposit monies. I estimate the cost for our computers will be in the area of around $8,000 each. I need to manufacture 10,000 computers for cost reduction. That means an $80 million first sale. Okay. So I'm looking, how do you finance that? How do you work the money into the bank? Well, they totally didn't believe I was possible. And they were saying to me, well, mortgage your house, we might give you a small line of credit. I'm trying to deposit $80 million in your bank. How do I do it at $8,000 increments?
Right.
I saw this woman sitting there by herself, and all these bank managers were doing the Cheshire Cat.
We're very good at this. We're very good at this.
They were being nice to her, but didn't know why. And she was basically sitting by herself, grabbed a plate of food, sat beside her. I'm Santa Claus at my church. I'm a Boy Scout leader, happily married, got wonderful grandchildren. The violin is playing, not quite all at the same time, but you get the gist of it. She then asked me, what do you do? And I said, well, I've redesigned the computer's hardware so you don't need to use mechanical or an art. It's a major discovery.
It is a major discovery.
This is a pertinent business question. We then entered into a high-level conversation. Nothing detailed, everything general. Basically, at the end of the conversation, she offered to fund the $5 to $10 million that I need for my first stage commercial product development, contingent upon a proof of concept to their technical staff to prove that it can do what I said it can do. Well, I know it can do because I've already proven it. And two, a small equity stake. Then she said, and I mean small equity stake. That told me she was more interested in protecting her data than owning my company.
Yeah, sure.
At the end of the conversation, I asked her, well, how do I communicate with you? She handed me her business card, President, Wealth Management, major Canadian bank. My heart stopped beating. I'm telling you, I have never went into professional mode harder at that moment. I then said,
I understand fully. So what's required now?
I then said to her, please excuse me, but I thank you very much for your offer, but I do require an equity buyback option. She said, sorry, due to the large commitment from the bank, I do require a long-term equity commitment from you.
Sure.
I stood up and said to her, thank you very much for the courtesy of your time. I will need to find another bank who is more interested in protecting their data than owning my company. I do require an equity buyback option after the bank receives a reasonable return on their investment. I then turned my body, not my legs, my body to indicate that I was going to be leaving. She grabbed my jacket. She said, sit down. I sat down. She said, okay, you can have
a good salesman instinct. She said, sit down. I would have told you to forget it.
I'm a trained communicator because there's one of the things in negotiating called the by the ways technique. After you say, sorry, we're not going to do business with you. Oh, by the ways, and then you bring yourself back into the conversation.
Well done. So what happened then?
So bottom line is, if I can build a proof of concept, the conversation, again, high level understanding, nothing detailed, nothing ironed out other than the fact of handshake with the president of a major bank that they're willing to fund the $5 to $10 million that I need for first stage commercial product development for a small equity stake with an equity buyback option, and away we go. So my position is I need $30,000, minimum 10, to build a physical proof of concept.
I hear that.
And this is a serious one, I did promise my wife $0 in debt when I made this discovery. Although she died in November of a heart attack, as a man of honor, I will honor my commitment to my wife.
Right, right.
So
I appreciate that.
What we need to do is they are not looking at an investment with a large return on investment, ROI. What they are going to be looking at is making a small investment in the future protection of their data.
And who's doing that? Who want? I didn't catch the first part of that.
Your people that will be watching your podcast.
Oh, yes, that I mean, if there were investors that were interested in pursuing this with you, they would be looking for like almost like a product exchange,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
they would get the product and that would be because that would support their data protection. And they would be giving you the money to create the product or to create the prototype.
No, it's a proof of concept, not a prototype, a proof of concept. In other words,
Okay.
able to show that the core technology of being able to safely open and process emails, internet searches, and data files like Word, Excel, PDF files, and to be able to do that without the need or use of detection software, encryption, VPN, AI, or analytics is a significant step forward. There are many companies out there that are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions of dollars per year in cyber security.
Oh, absolutely. But let me just get this clear. I'm not sure what would happen. If I were to give you 10 grand, what would I get in exchange for that?
Actually, the big, if they're looking for a return on investment, if somebody's giving me $10,000, I'm going to give them their $10,000 back, plus a return on investment times certainly 2. Okay, once we're in production. Okay, so there's no question of a return on investment for a large 10K investment or larger. The main benefit for an investor will be very simply to protect their data's ass.
So I'm a company, I want to invest in this proof of concept. And as a result of that, I'm going to get from you the proof of concept that I'm going to be able to use in my own business.
So what you will have, that's a good question. And I've got to think on that one. Just allow me. Instead of spending $1 million or $100,000 needlessly on cybersecurity, which is proven not to work, they have to make a judgment that once I, Ralph Kachur, an honorable person with honorable intent, who has made a significant discovery, willing to provide that company serious business considerations in the future.
Okay. What is this patent protected at this point?
No, because
Okay.
if I don't have $30,000,
Right. You're looking to get that patent protection.
I don't have $300,000 to do the international patenting that is required for the level of technology. That bank president was told up front that very quickly upon the first check from your bank, it will be used immediately for patent research and protection.
Absolutely. So let's say if I was a Google, this sounds like a very attractive proposition for a Google. or anybody really working in malware or security, computer security issues. But if I were in that position, I'd really want to, be part of it. I'd want to have an ownership equity stake also. So I'm not exactly sure how I could.
That is not on the table with me.
Uh-huh.
None.
Okay.
Okay. Because working in the electronics industry in manufacturing, I've worked with OEMs all across North America. Okay. I have a very strong desire to set up a North American malware secure computer manufacturing industry.
I see. I see. So you're
Um,
planning on producing this hardware yourself. So I'm not
it
like going to put
requires
it in my,
it requires a complete computer redesign
I
because
see.
of the ability to safely block digital malware from spreading within that computer.
I see. So let me just get this clear. So if I am already producing computer hardware, the point is that that hardware could not just be reconfigured to incorporate your invention. In
That is
fact,
correct.
what I would be investing in is you getting the proof of concept off the ground, but you're gearing towards setting up a whole manufacturing firm that would create this hardware that then would be sold like in competition with a Hewlett Packard or in competition with Dell or this type of thing. Would they be your competitors, or it seems like they would also be your most interested investors?
It actually, in a way, not. The I yes, wet finger costing. You know what wet finger costing is?
Right.
Okay. Wet finger costing using judgment on existing technologies and knowing what goes into the design. Each computer will be selling for about $8,000 each.
Right.
The marketplace for that is a marketplace for people who need to protect their data from malware intrusion,
Right.
not the high school student who wants a $500 or $800 computer.
I see.
Not in that marketplace.
Mhm.
It would be for police departments, military, banks, insurance companies, legal firms, psychiatrists, where data is critically important to be kept private, access restricted, and malware not being held up for ransom.
Right. Well, I can think of like, Social Security administrations or health and welfare administrations and governments also who really need healthcare companies that really need to protect their data
It
would be
is one
interested in this
step
as
up
well.
a cost and a monster step forward in malware protection that I'm offering.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
the business side of manufacturing is my background. I know how to handle it. The marketing and the announcement of it is going to be handled by a former media relations officer of the federal government of Canada.
I see. Mhm.
Knows the stuff, and I will be working with him.
Yeah. Well, that sounds all very great. So, what is your next step as an inventor? Really, it's a wonderful invention that you've got. And what do you see yourself as having as your next steps to move toward this proof of concept? And where do you see yourself going next to get that underway? And what are your next steps that you see as an inventor?
As an entrepreneur and innovator, it is my objective to raise $30,000 to build a proper proof of concept, buying the semi-custom and custom and standard electronic components to make it a reality.
Hmm.
Demonstrate that to the president of that Canadian bank,
Hmm.
secure legal protection and contracts with that bank president in order to obtain the funding that I need, including a statement of equity buyback option, terms and conditions.
Hmm.
Obtain necessary funding to purchase certain components and specialized engineering techniques, and to spend approximately $300,000 of that first check, or budget $300,000 for international patent protection.
Mhm.
That will be coinciding with engineering development of a prototype for production. Once I have a prototype for production, it will be phased in and presented to that bank for further investment.
Sounds great, Ralph. Have you gone to a place like GoFundMe? You know, those are great pages for this type of thing, and where I've seen a lot of money that people have secured from that. And just what you outlined there might be a great GoFundMe page.
I'm going to Indiegogo.
Okay, same kind of thing, same kind of thing. Yeah.
Uh,
That's excellent. So, just in wrapping up here, what else might we share that would be enticing to people to go to Indigo and or to you and really support you on getting this invention off the mark? I think it's a great opportunity to really shift the whole concept about malware and computer security. So I think you're onto something
It
that
is
sounds pretty amazing.
just as a quick antidote here, when I was at a lodge meeting and one of the fellows stood up and said, "If you've got any old computers, turn them over to me." Well, I had a bunch of them at the office. And so I said, "What are you using them for?" And he said, "Well, I've started a software company. I bought some industrial space. I want to set a room aside to teach underprivileged children coding. Not only a lodge brother who has been tested out to be a man of character, but a man of heart."
Yeah.
And I'm going, okay. I told him about my discovery. It's called seed planting. He then grabbed me aside the next lodge meeting and said, "Oh, by the way," and it was so he's certainly interested. And then I said, "Tell you what, can you write the code for me?" And I told him what the code I needed to be done, a Linux operating system modification. He goes, "Oh, that's simple. I can do that for you." And I said, "I will share the core secret with you, with the understanding that you will share the core secret with nobody unless specifically authorized by me. You can tell people what it does, but not how it does." And he goes, "Sure." We went out and we had Starbucks. I then did what we call in sales structure, gave him structure to behind the thinking. Then I dropped the penny. Now, this man's a smiley person, really straight, really quiet, but still always got this little smile on his face. Nice
Yeah.
guy. And then his face went,
Yeah, he couldn't believe what it was, I suppose.
"It'll be monstrous." Okay. Like, so he saw the significance of it.
Absolutely. You got to have people with the expertise that really understand what you're doing.
I'm told you can't make it in North America cost effectively. I'm sorry, folks. Yes, you can. Okay. The definition of a prospect is one with the need and the ability to buy or purchase your product or service.
Mhm.
People need to protect their cyber ass.
Big time, big time.
$8,000 is not a lot of money, and a lot of people can afford that. Those are my customers.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, that's good. That's great.